Derek Johnson was sitting at his kitchen table in Atlanta, sipping a cup of black coffee before heading to work at the auto shop, when the knock came. It wasn't a friendly knock. It was sharp, urgent, almost like a warning. He frowned, pushed his chair back, and opened the door. Two men in suits stood there, one holding a clipboard. "Are you Mr. Derek Johnson?" the taller one asked. "Yes," Derek said slowly. "What's this about?" The man handed him an envelope. "This is a final notice regarding the repayment of a $50,000 loan. You're 3 months past due. If you don't settle this, legal action will begin." Derek's heart skipped. "What loan? I never borrowed $50,000. The men looked at each other, unmoved. "The documents say otherwise. You signed for it." Derek ripped the envelope open, eyes scanning the papers. His stomach twisted. The signature at the bottom was his. At least, it looked like it. His chest burned. He had never signed these papers. Inside his head, one name screamed louder than all the noise around him. Monica. His younger sister. She had borrowed money before, small amounts, promising to pay it back but never did. But this was too big. "Sir, you need to contact your lender immediately," the man said coldly. "We'll be back." They walked away, leaving Derek in the doorway, frozen, holding the papers that could ruin his life. He slammed the door shut, leaned his back against it, and whispered, "Monica, what have you done?" Derek paced the living room, his hands shaking as he clutched the loan documents. His first thought was denial. Maybe this was some scam. But the company's name was real, the details too sharp to ignore. He grabbed his phone and dialed Monica's number. She answered on the third ring, her voice casual. "Hey, big bro. What's up?" "Don't what's up me, Monica," Derek snapped, his voice sharp. "Tell me why your name is all over a $50,000 loan that's sitting in my name." There was silence on the line. Then a shaky laugh. "Derek, I was going to tell you." "You were going to tell me?" Derek exploded. "They came to my door this morning. Men in suits, talking about legal action. Monica, you forged my signature. Do you know what that means? Do you even realize what kind of trouble I could be in?" Her voice grew defensive. "I didn't have a choice. My rent was behind, my car broke down, and I had a chance to start a small business. I thought I could pay it back before anyone noticed." "Pay it back? With what money?" Derek cut her off. His voice cracked with anger and fear. "I work 12-hour shifts just to stay afloat. I don't have $50,000 lying around. Monica, you didn't just play with your life. You played with mine." "Please, Derek," she whispered, tears in her voice. "I'll fix it. Just give me some time." He stared at the papers in his hand, feeling his chest tighten. "Time is the one thing I don't have. And neither do you." That evening, Derek drove across town to Monica's small apartment complex. He knocked so hard on her door that a neighbor peeked out before quickly shutting their blinds. Monica opened the door slowly. She was in her robe, her hair tied up, and her eyes swollen from crying. "Come in," she muttered. Derek stormed inside, holding the papers out like a weapon. "You put my life on the line, Monica. Do you understand? They could sue me, garnish my wages, ruin my credit. All because you wanted to play businesswoman." Monica folded her arms, looking smaller than ever. "You think I wanted this? I was drowning. Nobody was there for me. You always had your life together, Derek. I thought if I just borrowed your name for a while." "Borrowed my name?" Derek barked a bitter laugh. "A name isn't something you borrow, Monica. You stole it. You stole from me. Do you have any idea what identity theft means?" Her lips trembled. "You're my brother. I thought you'd understand." I thought family helps family. Derek shook his head, fighting back tears of his own. Family doesn't destroy each other to survive. Monica sank onto the couch, her face buried in her hands. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Derek stood over her, his fists clenched. Well, it did. And now we both might pay the price. Derek left Monica's apartment with a storm raging in his chest. He sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. The streetlights blurred in his eyes as tears welled up. He thought of his father's old words, "Protect your name, son. That's the one thing in this world nobody can take from you unless you hand it over." And now, his own sister had stolen it. That night, Derek didn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining his wages being garnished, his credit ruined, maybe even being dragged to court for fraud he never committed. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Monica's face, and her words echoed, "I thought family helps family." By morning, the weight of silence was unbearable. He knew he had to act, but how? Report her to the police and watch his sister get arrested? Or protect her and watch himself sink deeper into debt? At work, he was distracted, dropping tools, snapping at coworkers. His boss, Mr. Carter, pulled him aside. "Derek, your head ain't here today. What's going on?" Derek forced a smile. "Just family stuff." Mr. Carter nodded knowingly. Family can lift you up or drag you down. Don't let it bury you. The words cut deep. By the end of his shift, Derek had made up his mind. He wasn't going to let this bury him. Monica had to face what she had done. That weekend, Derek drove to his mother's house, a modest brick home that always smelled of collard greens and cornbread. He needed her wisdom, even if it hurt. "Derek, baby!" Mama exclaimed when she opened the door. She hugged him tight, but she quickly pulled back, noticing the lines of stress on his face. "What's wrong?" He followed her into the kitchen, where the stove was already busy with Sunday dinner. He sat at the table and slid the loan papers across to her. Mama put on her reading glasses, squinting at the fine print. As her eyes scanned the signature, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Lord have mercy," she whispered. "It was Monica," Derek said, his voice breaking. "She forged my name. Mama, I'm in trouble. They're coming for me." Mama set the papers down and shook her head, her eyes watery. "That girl! I knew she was slipping. Always chasing quick fixes, always trying to live bigger than her pockets. But this! What do I do, Mama?" Derek asked, his hands trembling. "Do I report her? Do I let the law deal with her? Or do I just take the hit and try to pay it off myself?" Mama walked over, placed her hands on his shoulders, and looked him in the eye. "Son, you can't save someone who doesn't want to save themselves. But you also can't let your own life burn because she lit a fire. Sometimes, love means drawing a hard line." Derek swallowed hard. "So, you're saying I should turn her in?" Mama sighed, turning back to stir her pot. "I'm saying pray on it. But don't let guilt make you a prisoner." Later that night, Monica showed up at Derek's apartment unannounced. She looked a mess, hair uncombed, eyes bloodshot, her clothes wrinkled like she hadn't slept in days. "Derek, please," she begged as soon as he opened the door. "Don't turn me in. I can fix this. I just need more time." "Time?" Derek snapped. "You've had 3 months. You're already behind on payments. They're not going to wait forever, Monica. Neither can I." She dropped to her knees, clutching his hands. "I've got someone who promised to help me. A friend. He's got money. He just needs a little while to pull it together. If you just hold off the collectors." "Who's this friend?" Derek demanded, yanking his hands free. "Another one of your shady boyfriends?" Another guy who promises the world and leaves you in ruins. Monica's lips trembled. He's not like that. He believes in me. Please, Derek. Don't ruin me. I'll pay every dime back. Derek stared down at her, torn between anger and pity. She was his sister, the same girl he used to walk to school, the same one who cried when their father died. But now, she was a grown woman making choices that could destroy them both. You already ruined yourself, he said coldly. And you're trying to take me down with you. Monica broke into sobs, her head on the floor. Please, big brother. Please don't give up on me. Derek turned away, his chest heavy. He didn't answer. It was nearly midnight when Derek heard pounding on his door. His stomach dropped. He hadn't told anyone he was home, and Monica had already left hours ago. Who is it? He called out cautiously. A rough voice answered, Open up. We need to talk about your debt. Derek froze. His heart hammered against his ribs. Slowly, he inched toward the door, peering through the peephole. Two men in dark hoodies stood outside, one smoking a cigarette, the other tapping something metallic against his thigh. He backed away from the door, his breath shallow. Wrong address, he called out. The smoker laughed. Ain't no wrong address, Mr. Johnson. You're the one on the papers. Open this door before we make you open it. Derek grabbed his phone and dialed 911 with shaking hands. Before the operator could finish her greeting, he whispered his address and said, Men are threatening me at my door. Hurry. The men pounded again, but when sirens wailed faintly in the distance, they cursed and disappeared into the night. By the time the police arrived, Derek was sweating through his shirt. The officers searched the area but found nothing. One officer, a black woman with sharp eyes, looked Derek over. You're in something deep. Whatever this is, you better straighten it out fast. These kinds of men don't knock twice. Derek sat on the couch long after they left, shaking, the loan papers still on the table. He realized then, this wasn't just about debt. This was about survival. The next Sunday at Mama's house, the Johnson family gathered for dinner. The aroma of fried chicken and cornbread filled the air, but the atmosphere was heavy. Derek had told Mama everything, and she had quietly told his older brother, Marcus. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. Monica, how could you? $50,000? In Derek's name. You've lost your mind. Monica's face burned red. Y'all don't understand. I was desperate. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. Fix it? Marcus scoffed. Now debt collectors are banging on Derek's door in the middle of the night. You didn't just play with fire, you lit the whole house. Mama raised her hands, her voice stern. Enough. This is still family. We don't scream like enemies. Derek shook his head. Mama, family or not, she crossed a line. If I lose my job, my apartment, my credit, what then? I'll be the one in ruins while she keeps making excuses. Monica's eyes filled with tears. I said I'm sorry, Derek. What do you want me to do? Crawl on my knees? Go to jail? Derek stared at her, his jaw tight. Maybe that's what it takes for you to understand. The room went silent. Even the clinking of silverware stopped. Mama's eyes brimmed with tears. Lord help us, she whispered. 3 days later, Derek received a phone call while at work. The number was unknown, but something told him to answer. Mr. Johnson, the voice on the line drawled, smooth but dangerous. This is about your balance. You've got 1 week to bring us 20 grand. If not, we start collecting in ways you won't like. Derek swallowed hard. I didn't borrow the money. My sister did. She forged my name. The man chuckled. Paper says otherwise. Paper don't lie. We don't care who spent it. You signed, you pay. Derek's hands trembled as he gripped the phone. I don't have that kind of money. Then you better find it, the man said coldly. Or we'll find you. The line went dead. Derek's co-worker, Jamal, noticed his pale face. Bro, you good? Derek shook his head. No, not even close. That night, Derek sat in his apartment with Marcus. He explained everything, the threats, the call, the men at his door. Marcus leaned back, exhaling hard. This ain't just some bank loan, Derek. Monica didn't just borrow from a company. Sounds like she dipped into street money. Shady lenders. Loan sharks. They don't play. So what do I do? Derek asked, desperation in his voice. Go to the police? If I report her, she goes down. If I don't, I go down. Marcus looked at him with sad eyes. Sometimes, the hardest thing is letting family face the consequences of their own choices. If you keep covering for her, they'll bleed you dry. You'll lose everything. Maybe even your life. Derek buried his face in his hands. She's my sister. Marcus put a hand on his shoulder. And you're my brother. I don't plan on losing you over her mistakes. Derek sat in silence, the weight of his decision pressing down like chains. Whatever choice he made, someone he loved was going to suffer. Derek couldn't shake Marcus's warning. That night, he drove back to Monica's apartment. He found her pacing the floor, her phone buzzing nonstop. Who keeps calling you? Derek demanded. She froze, clutching the phone. Nobody important. Don't lie to me, Monica. Derek snatched the phone. On the screen were dozens of missed calls from a man named Reggie. Who is this? Derek asked. Her shoulders slumped. He's the one who loaned me the money. Derek's heart sank. Reggie, as in Reggie Brown. The same Reggie who got arrested last year for running illegal lending out of the East Side. Monica bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't know who else to turn to. The banks laughed at me. I was drowning. He said he'd help, and I thought I could flip it into a business. Derek's voice rose. You took street money in my name? Monica, you didn't just mess up. You signed my death sentence. Before she could reply, there was a knock at the door. Heavy. Sharp. The sound made both of them freeze. Monica, a voice drawled. Open up. Don't make me knock twice. Derek's pulse raced. Monica's face went pale. She whispered, It's him. Reggie's voice came again, low and menacing. I know you in there. Don't make me kick this door down. Monica rushed to the door, trying to act calm. Reggie, please. I just need more time. The door swung open, and in stepped Reggie Brown, tall, broad, with a gold chain glinting under his hoodie. Two men followed behind him, their eyes scanning the apartment like predators. Reggie's gaze landed on Derek. He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. So this the big brother. Mr. Johnson. The man with the good credit. Derek clenched his fists. I didn't borrow a dime from you. Reggie chuckled. Paper says otherwise. Your name. Your signature. And let me tell you something, Mr. Johnson. Paper don't lie, but people do. You either pay what's owed, or things get messy. Monica stepped forward, tears streaming. Please, Reggie. I'll pay. Just give me more time. Reggie's smile faded. He leaned close to Derek. 1 week. 20 grand. After that, I stopped being polite. He turned and walked out, his men following. The door slammed, leaving silence heavy in the room. Derek sank into a chair, his chest heaving. Monica, you've dragged us into hell. The next morning, Derek went back to Mama's house. He told her everything, Reggie's threats, the 1-week deadline. Mama pressed her hand to her chest. Lord have mercy, she whispered. That boy Reggie is dangerous. People who cross him, they don't walk away the same. Derek buried his face in his hands. What am I supposed to do, Mama? I don't have 20 grand. I can't let them ruin my life. And I can't let Monica end up dead. Mama's eyes watered. Son, you can't carry her sins forever. She chose this path. But maybe we can find another way. What way? Derek asked bitterly. Praying ain't gonna make Reggie forget $50,000. Mama leaned closer, her voice firm. Don't underestimate prayer, Derek. And don't underestimate family. Maybe Marcus, maybe your cousins. We can pull something together. But you must also be ready to do the hardest thing. Derek looked up. And what's that? Mama's voice cracked. Let your sister face the law. Days passed like hours. Derek couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time a car slowed outside his building, he tensed. Every phone call from an unknown number made his heart pound. On the 6th night, Monica came to his place again. She was frantic, her hands shaking. Reggie called me. He said if I don't come up with something, he'll come after you. Derek, I can't let that happen. You should have thought about that before you signed my name, Derek said coldly. Monica collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I'll turn myself in. I'll go to the police. I'll admit I forged everything. Just don't let him hurt you. Derek stared at her, torn between anger and pity. Part of him wanted to drag her to the police station right then. Another part remembered walking her to school when they were kids, her little hand holding his. He whispered, almost to himself, How did we end up here? Monica looked up through her tears. Because I made mistakes. And you loved me enough to cover them, until now. Derek sat beside her, his chest heavy. For the first time, he realized there might not be a way out where everyone survived. By the 7th day, Derek's nerves were shredded. He'd scraped together every dollar he could, borrowing from Marcus, cashing out his small savings, even pawning his watch. Still, he had only managed $8,000. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at the pile of crumpled bills. It wasn't enough. Not even close. Monica paced the room. Maybe we should just give him what we have. Maybe he'll see we're trying. Derek shot her a glare. Reggie ain't a banker, Monica. He's a shark. If you owe him 50 and hand him 8, he'll laugh in your face and break your legs for wasting his time. She sank into a chair, tears streaming down her face. Then what do we do? Derek rubbed his temples. We go to the police. I can't keep living like this. Monica's head snapped up. No. If I get arrested, I'll lose everything. My job, my apartment, my life will be over. Derek's voice hardened. You already lost everything when you forged my name. Now we're both about to lose. Marcus showed up later that evening, his face grim. He tossed a manila folder on the table. Inside were clippings and court records. Reggie's been investigated before, Marcus said. Loan sharking, fraud, even a disappearance or two. But nobody ever testifies. Folks are too scared. That's why he's still walking around free. Derek flipped through the folder, his stomach turning. So what, Marcus? You saying I should be the one to testify? Marcus leaned forward. I'm saying if you don't, he'll eat you alive. And Monica too. Monica slammed her hand on the table. No. We can't go to the cops. You don't know what he'll do if he finds out we talked. Marcus shook his head. You think hiding will save you? Reggie already has your address. He already knows your face. The only way out is to bring him down. Derek sat in silence, his mind torn apart by fear and duty. 2 nights later, Derek made his choice. He contacted the detective who had come after the midnight knock. Detective Harris, the sharp-eyed woman, met him at a diner downtown. "You're ready to talk?" she asked, sipping her coffee. Derek slid a piece of paper across the table. "Reggie gave me a deadline. Tomorrow. He wants 20 grand. If I show up with cash, he'll be there. You want him. That's your chance." Harris nodded slowly. "Dangerous play. You could end up in a hospital bed. Or worse." Derek swallowed hard. "If I don't do this, I lose anyway." The detective placed her hand over his. "All right. We'll wire you. We'll have men watching. But you need to hold your nerve." The meeting spot was an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Derek pulled up in his old Chevy, his heart slamming against his ribs. In a duffel bag beside him sat $8,000, the bait. Reggie was already there, leaning against a black SUV with 2 of his men. His smile was sharp as a blade. "Mr. Johnson," he said, spreading his arms. "Did you bring my money?" Derek stepped forward, holding the duffel. "I brought what I could." Reggie unzipped the bag, his smile vanishing as he saw the stacks. 8 grand. His voice dropped to a growl. "You think I'm a charity?" He signaled to his men, who stepped forward menacingly. Just then, red and blue lights flashed. Police cruisers roared into the lot, surrounding the warehouse. Officers leapt out, weapons drawn. "Hands in the air!" Harris shouted. Chaos erupted. Reggie cursed and tried to run, but Harris tackled him herself, slamming him against the SUV. His men were cuffed within seconds. Derek stood frozen, his hands trembling, as the nightmare unfolded before him. Back at the station, Derek gave his statement, laying everything bare. How Monica had forged his signature, how Reggie had threatened them, how the debt spiraled out of control. Monica sat across the table, her face pale, tears streaking her cheeks. "Mr. Johnson," Detective Harris said, "if we pursue charges, your sister could be facing fraud, forgery, and identity theft. Do you want to press charges?" Derek looked at Monica. She shook her head, whispering, "Please, Derek, don't." His chest ached. Part of him wanted to save her again. But another part remembered the men at his door, the sleepless nights, the threat to his life. He closed his eyes, then whispered, "Yes, I want to press charges." Monica gasped, covering her mouth. "Derek, how could you?" He looked at her, tears in his eyes. "Because if I don't, you'll never stop." Months later, Reggie was behind bars, facing charges that would keep him there for years. Monica was sentenced to probation, community service, and restitution payments she could never fully repay. Derek walked out of the courthouse, the crisp air hitting his face like a new beginning. Mama stood beside him, her hand gripping his. "You did what you had to," she said softly. "Sometimes love is tough." Derek nodded, though his heart was heavy. He had saved himself, but at the cost of his sister's trust. As he walked down the courthouse steps, he whispered to himself, "Protect your name." For the first time in months, he felt free. But freedom came with scars. After Monica's sentencing, the Johnson family dinners weren't the same. Mama still cooked, still set the table with collard greens and cornbread, but Monica's empty chair was a wound no food could heal. Marcus sat across from Derek, his fork scraping the plate. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. Derek nodded, though his chest felt hollow. "Then why does it feel like I destroyed her?" Mama spoke softly, her eyes on her plate. "Because love don't stop hurting just because it was right." They ate in silence, the house heavy with absence. Later that night, Derek lay awake. The phone lit up, Monica's number. He stared at it, torn. After a long pause, he pressed decline. He wasn't ready. Not yet. At the auto shop, word had already spread. Customers whispered. Neighbors stared. Some pitied him, others judged. "Man, I heard your own sister scammed you," one coworker muttered when he thought Derek couldn't hear. Derek clenched his fists but kept working. He wouldn't let shame bury him. But at the grocery store, at church, even at the gas station, everywhere he went, whispers followed. After service one Sunday, Sister Lewis stopped him. "Baby, you held your head high through this storm. Don't let nobody shame you. What Monica did ain't your cross to carry." Derek nodded, but the shame still stung. He realized then, Monica's actions hadn't just stolen his name on paper. They had stained it in the mouths of others. Monica's probation was brutal. She picked up trash on highways in a bright orange vest, worked long hours in community kitchens, and faced sneers from people who recognized her name. At night, she lay in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling. The silence was deafening. No calls from Derek. No family dinners. Just her and her mistakes. One evening, Mama visited. She brought food and a hug that lingered. "Child," Mama whispered, "you gotta use this time to rebuild. The Lord gave you another chance. Don't waste it." Monica's tears soaked her mother's shoulder. "Mama, do you think Derek will ever forgive me?" Mama stroked her hair. "Forgiveness takes time. But don't wait for his before you forgive yourself." Meanwhile, Derek's life slowly steadied. His credit was scarred, but the police reports and court records cleared his name enough for him to rebuild. Yet temptation lurked. One afternoon, Jamal pulled him aside at the shop. "You know, bro, with your skills, you could start your own place. Make real money. I know a guy who can front you cash, no bank paperwork." Derek froze. The words sounded too familiar. "Front me cash." Jamal nodded eagerly. "Yeah, easy loan. No questions asked. Pay back double in 6 months. You'd be your own boss by summer." Derek laughed bitterly. "That's how my sister ruined my life, chasing easy money." Jamal frowned. "So you just gonna stay a worker forever?" Derek shook his head. "I'd rather be broke with peace than rich with chains." Weeks later, Derek came home to find a letter in his mailbox. The handwriting was shaky but familiar, Monica's. He sat at the table, staring at the envelope. His chest tightened. Part of him wanted to toss it in the trash. But slowly, he tore it open. Inside was a single page. "Dear Derek, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even forgive myself yet. But I want you to know I'm trying. Every day I wake up, I carry the weight of what I did to you. I stole more than your name. I stole your peace. I hope one day I can give it back. Until then, I'll keep working, keep paying, and keep praying. I love you, big brother." Tears blurred Derek's eyes. For the first time in months, his anger cracked, just enough to let sorrow in. One Saturday afternoon, Derek heard a knock at his door. He opened it cautiously, expecting another bill collector or curious neighbor. Instead, it was Monica. She looked different, thinner, tired, but humbled. She held a grocery bag in her hands. "I brought you dinner," she said softly. Derek hesitated. For months, he'd avoided her, too wounded to look her in the eyes. But something about the way she stood, shoulders slumped, eyes red, made him step aside. She set the bag on the counter. "It's just spaghetti. I figured, you used to love it when Mama made it." Derek crossed his arms. "Why are you here, Monica?" Her voice broke. "Because I'm tired of losing my brother. I ruined your trust. I ruined our family. But if you never let me explain, then I've lost you forever." Silence stretched. Finally, Derek pulled out a chair. Sit. Talk. They sat across from each other, the kitchen clock ticking loudly between them. Monica wrung her hands. When Daddy died, I felt like you became everyone's hero. You worked hard, you helped Mama, you carried all of us. And me. I was the screw-up. Always behind on bills, always asking for help. I thought if I could just prove I could succeed on my own, people would finally see me differently. Derek frowned. So you thought stealing my name was the way to prove yourself? Her tears spilled over. I wasn't thinking. I was desperate. I thought I could fix it before you noticed. I told myself it was just borrowing. But the truth is, I was selfish. I put my pride above your peace. Derek leaned back, his chest heavy. Do you know what it felt like? Having men bang on my door at midnight? Knowing I could lose my job, my freedom, even my life, all because of you. Monica covered her face, sobbing. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you, even if you never forgive me. Derek stared at her, torn between anger and compassion. I don't know if I can forget, Monica. But maybe, someday, I can forgive. The next Sunday, Mama gathered them both at her house. She had insisted, saying, we can't heal if we keep sitting in different corners. They sat at the dining table, the smell of fried chicken filling the room. Mama clasped her hands together. Children, I'm old enough to know families break when we let pride and pain speak louder than love. Monica, you sinned against your brother. Derek, you chose the hard road of truth. Now both of you are bleeding. Monica whispered, Mama, he hates me. Derek shook his head slowly. I don't hate you. I just don't trust you. Mama reached across the table, holding both their hands. Trust is like a plate, children. You break it, you can glue it back, but the cracks always show. The question is, do you let the cracks remind you of the breaking or remind you of the healing? Tears welled in both their eyes. For the first time, Derek squeezed Monica's hand. Forgiveness didn't come overnight. It came in small steps. Derek began answering Monica's calls again, even if the conversations were awkward. He dropped off groceries once when she couldn't afford them. She, in turn, showed up to his auto shop with lunch, earning teasing grins from his coworkers. One afternoon, Jamal whispered, Yo, is that your sister? I thought y'all weren't talking. Derek shrugged. We're trying. That's all that matters. Monica smiled shyly, handing him a sandwich. Peace offering, she said. It wasn't perfect. Derek still had nights where anger simmered. Monica still carried shame like a shadow. But piece by piece, they were rebuilding what had been shattered. Months later, at a Sunday dinner, Monica stood up nervously. The family looked at her curiously. I need to say something, she began. Her voice shook, but she pressed on. I failed you all. I stole from my own brother. I dragged our name through the mud. But I've learned something. Pain can either destroy you or teach you. I don't want to be destroyed anymore. Mama's eyes glistened. Marcus nodded firmly. Derek watched quietly, his arms crossed, but his eyes softened. Monica turned to him. Big brother, I don't expect your trust back in full. But I want you to know, I'm fighting every day to deserve it. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when you had every reason to. The room was quiet, filled with emotion. Derek stood slowly, walked over, and hugged her. The family clapped softly. Mama whispered a prayer of thanks. For the first time in a long time, the Johnsons felt whole again, not perfect, not without scars, but whole.